Hi, I'm Paul Pratt. I'm going to be talking for about 10 minutes on the Ontario Breeding Bird Atlas number 3 that's going to begin on January 1st. This is going to be a huge project over the next 5 years to document the distribution and abundance of all Ontario's breeding birds. Uh, I'm a coordinator for Area 1, the Essex region, and just going to give you a little bit of information about the atlas, in particular, uh, information about this region. I'm going to start by looking at some of the results of past atlas work. Here's Ringneck Pheasant, a bird that's pretty familiar in Essex County. During the first atlas, the pheasant was recorded in all the squares in our region, and it was pretty widespread across southern Ontario. When you compare this with the second atlas in 2001 to 2005, you can see that the numbers have decreased significantly. The map is peppered with little black spots, which indicate areas where the bird was recorded in the first atlas but not recorded in the second atlas. It'll be very interesting to see what the distribution is in Atlas number 3 for ringneck pheasant. Another bird we can look at is the Red-Bellied Woodpecker, a bird that's familiar to everyone now, but when you look back at the first atlas, it was very rarely recorded in our region. Only, it looks like 5 squares, and none were confirmed in Essex region. By the second atlas, it was widespread across the Carolinian zone and starting to spread out through the rest of southern Ontario. This will be another bird that will be very interesting to see the distribution map in the third Atlas project. Uh, the Atlas project is divided up into 47 regions across Ontario. The Essex region is area number 1. We'll be looking at about 36 squares in the Essex region that have some landmass to them. Each of the squares is 10 kilometers by 10 kilometers, and we'll get good topographic map support for the atlas through the app or on paper, just to help people atlas their respective square. The most significant feature of these maps is the black crosses, which mark random spots along roads where we should be conducting point counts, where you stop for 5 minutes and record all the birds you can hear or see from that spot. We hope to be able to do 25 or more point counts at each of the squares during the Atlas project. It's a big job, but we have 5 years to do it. The way information is collected, information, if it's just casual, can be entered on the website or on a printed form, a data form. But most people will probably be using the Atlas, the new Atlas app called Nature Counts. It's available now for download for iPhones or Android phones. It'd be very easy to use, especially for people that are familiar with entering their bird records on eBird. This one is customized for Atlas work. Has a lot of features to help us with our atlasing. And the benefit, if you already bird using eBird, all the information using this app goes into eBird, so you don't have to enter information twice to get it recorded for the Atlas and for eBird. And on the Atlas website, you'll be able to go during the Atlas and look at the stats for any particular block or square in the Atlas region, and look at what the status is, how many species are recorded, who's been a number of atlasers. A lot of information will be available. This information is updated daily during the atlas. The you aren't really required to find a nest for every species in order to record it as a breeding bird. Categories are broken down into possible, probable, and confirmed breeders. If you find an American redstart during the breeding season in a forest that's habitat, that's a possible breeder right off the bat. Singing males in appropriate habitat are also a possible breeder. Probable breeders are things like seeing a pair, seeing a number of birds, generally more than 7 in a square, bird showing agitated behavior, the courtship displays, you get it up to probable. Confirmed breeders are things like a nest with eggs, nest with young, adults carrying food to a nest, adults carrying fecal sacs away from a nest, adults feeding recently fledged young, like this little chipping sparrow feeding cowbird. There's a complete list, and the app is set up to be able to easily use the various categories when you're out birding. Here are some of the results for the atlas for Essex region. Yeah, this shows about 80 to 100 species recorded as possible, probable, or confirmed breeders for individual squares. You can see the number of hours have been put into the effort of recording the birds for each square, and the number of point counts done, and so on. Over the course of the last atlas, Atlas number 2, we recorded about 151 species of birds for the atlas, which was a little over half of all the breeding birds recorded for Ontario for the Atlas project. So Essex region is pretty well represented in the atlas. I already talked about point counts. I looked at the results of the Atlas number 2 for doing point counts for eastern meadowlark. And when you look at the results, when you look at whether the meadowlarks breed in a square or not, you can see it looks like eastern meadowlarks are very evenly distributed across southern Ontario, south of the Canadian Shield. But when you look at the data that's brought into the atlas through the point counts, you see a much different distribution of meadowlarks that really makes a huge difference in the value of the information that's been collected. We hope that there'll be even more detailed distribution maps available through the Atlas number 3, just because of the huge amount of landscape information that's currently available that was not available 20 years ago. For more information about the atlas, go to the website, birdsontario.org/atlas. This will be getting set up very shortly. Registration should be available very soon. You can register as an atlas project. If you're interested in atlasing in the Essex region, you can get a hold of myself or Karen Cedar from the Ojibwe Nature Center. She's the other co-coordinator for the Atlas project, and we'll be glad to set you up and get you ready to start atlasing in 2021. Thank you very much for your time, and good atlasing.